Hey guys, I'm Howlermouse. Welcome to Mouse Manor. Alright guys, what I do is on YouTube, I guess, is I have a comic book channel, pop culture channel, and there is a comic book community on here. I've been doing it about 6 years, give or take. And a lot has changed over YouTube over the years. A lot of people, we started out very small. I'm one of the few closest you can get to an original still standing. A few channels still out there, a few people still around, and the thing has grown. I'm one of those people that I've collected comics since I was reading comics since I was about 4. Considered myself a collector around when I was like about 8 or 9 when I looked around. And kind of grew up with all this stuff. And I'm a little different than the other comic book channels that you watch and stuff. I had to accept that some of the things I do, kind of make me stand out a little bit. In a good way and stuff, right? Basically, growing up with this stuff, I kind of go into this zone, and whatever year I bought a comic, I can remember what was going on around me and a lot of stuff about that comic. I kind of equate this to having a TV in your room. To me, this stuff is as normal as you having a form of entertainment like TV. This stuff is kind of all fleeting, but at the same time, I'm sort of like, this is really, an art form that in the future people may study. I mean, it's kind of a reflection of society. You can pick up a comic and get the idea of what was going on in the world when that comic came out. It's a reflection. And then every now and then you have a guy that's writing a comic, someone writing a comic, and they have a little bit of something they're trying to say about what was going on. A misconception about comics, since a lot of people are starting to come in because of the movies and the TV shows and things like that, is that it's all superhero, and it's not. There's many different genres. Crime noirs, things like that have been coming back. That's where you get your Sin City and stuff. One of the misconceptions about Superman is that, and that's probably part of the reason they have a lot of problems writing him, is that they approach him as a superhero and he's really sci-fi. And sci-fi books and stories and movies, the best ones are usually when the author looks around at what's going on in the world, what are the issues, political, social, and they take those and they put them in a different setting in the future. And they can get by with having a lot being said about them. And it's usually very subtle, very metaphoric. There's a skill to writing that I respect, and that's what I get out of all this stuff. I also get into the history of comics and the backstories of comics in the books and what was going on when these books came out and stuff. And I'll make some videos and I'll talk about those things. I do unscripted stuff. I pick up these books and it's just what comes out. So I'm going to kind of give you an idea of kind of what I do, I guess, because I'm always trying to figure it out myself, of what I do by pointing back to a video I made about 5 years ago, just to give you an idea of what's going on. And before I do that, I just kind of want to say that the amazing thing about these comics, like I said, these are all fleeting and stuff, and these were things that I read and would buy at the store and things for myself. It's a very personal and private thing you do. I mean, you're sitting down with a book, you're reading a comic, and if that comic came out in 1980, you're in this world by yourself. It is a form of escapism. You're transplanting yourself into this story. But somebody could find that book in 1996, 16 years later, sit down with that book, read it, and have the same experience you did 16 years ago. And to me, that's one of those things that kind of connect collectors and even casual fans together, is when they find each other and they start talking about this story read 16 years apart, yet they're still on the same page. And comics have really put me on a path in life that when you stop and think about it, it actually is kind of amazing. These comics and stuff have given me the burning to like travel to comic conventions and you meet people. Comics have ended up paying for things when I've sold them. I've ended up appraising comics for pawn shops and ending up buying things 50% off, a little tit for tat what I was doing there. I've run across I started this YouTube channel, met a ton of great people, And now I'm stating here on a channel whose content is so different than what I do, thanks to our gracious host of Charming Man 93. And now I'm making videos to a whole new audience right here for a little bit. You know, to me, you know, I really read into those things, usually like when I'm driving or I have time to think and stuff. And as you can tell, you know, when I get these thoughts out and stuff, this is what comes out of my video because they're unscripted. Okay. So here's the little trick I did a couple years ago that was really cathartic for me, and we'll see what happens. Some of these are the same books, but we'll just go on with this. But here's a book from 1977. Okay, I remember reading this book as a kid, but I'm 5 years old. It's the summer. It's 1978, and it's the summer before I'm going to elementary school, and I'm right back there when I read this. Okay. We are in the world of Star Wars now. Star Wars is everywhere, so Star Wars starts affecting all the pop culture and stuff. And they more or less revive the Guardians of the Galaxy. And as a kid, I'm reading this, and here's Thor. And these bright colors, and all these aliens, and these good guys, these bad guys, and they're in spaceships everywhere and stuff. Man, it just kind of grabs you as a kid when you get in there. And on that same rainy day that I'm sitting here reading these comics, these were my stepdads and my uncles. They were always kind of arguing whose comics were whose. I'm picking up, here's the actual book that's disintegrated over the years, but I'm reading this Iron Man annual. And this is a mind trip. It's written by a man named Steve Gerber, who's just writing this mind trip. Hermaphrodite kids growing up to be adults, children attacking their parents, this muck monster running around, you know, kids riding their bikes in the swamps and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, you know. And I remember going outside, and I would read these things, and I'd go outside with all the kids in the neighborhood and stuff, and we would emulate. It'd give me the ideas to kind of emulate these little adventures, and we'd go out and we would play and stuff, right? It's 1979. I'm 6 years old. I'm in the back of a car in a place called Raven, Virginia, where I'm surrounded by my stepdad, my mom, and all their friends. It's like I'm inserted into that 70s show, if you ever watched it and stuff. And this was the first comic I bought with my money. And, you know, as I grew up, I was always like, what is Super Baby playing with? There's a sharp point on that. When I show people the book, they're like, what the hell is Cosmic Boy wearing? I just kind of chalk it up that this is After Rocky Horror Picture Show. Okay, it's 1983. I'm 10 years old. My grandfather's died. This is the first real funeral. This is the first funeral that I've been at that I'm well aware of what has happened and what's going on. And I walk out of the funeral home, and I go across the street to the remnants of a malt shop that's been around forever. And as I walk in, I'm assuming Helen, who owned the place, had seen where I was coming from, and there's a milkshake waiting on me, and there's some comic books, and I end up buying this. I get a little comfort. I can remember this. I still have some of the comics I got that day. Alright, I'm 12 years old. It is Halloween. Okay? My mom has taken me out and the girl across the road out. And my mom starts kind of getting on to me because I'm ignoring this girl. She has a crush on me. And what's my answer? I don't care. I got to read and see what happens in Crisis on Infinite Earths and stuff like that. Kind of cracks me up. It's 1991. I have graduated. I'm ready to get the hell out of the house. I end up in Baltimore, Maryland during the summer. And as I'm walking around the docks there, the dock area there, not only do I end up buying these 4 books, but as I'm walking around, just taking in the place, 18-year-old me, I hear this voice, and it's Darth Vader, and I turn around, there's James Earl Jones not too far from me with a crowd of people around him. Turns out he lives in Baltimore. 1997, the woman that I'm soon to marry has bought me Wizard magazine with an Alex Ross cover. I didn't know how to take this. As I grew up, 2 girls actually broke up with me when I was in the shower, and they looked in my closet and saw the comics, and they left. I always knew there was a stigma on comics, and I've talked about that stigma before. If you think comic books are mainstream, that's not what's mainstream right now. And I ended up marrying this lady. I think it's 2007. I am now 2 years divorced from that lady. I read Chinatown by the Goon, a hardback, and it's very cathartic. And I come to peace with the divorce in a way where I'm like, it wasn't me. Thank the Lord. So guys, that's kind of what I do. And if there's anything you need to know about me, on my, I get philosophical sometimes. I do comic book hauls sometimes, just kind of, and I talk about the books that I have with a little trivia I know, letter columns, a little nostalgia, a little reflection of what's going on. And every now and then, I will react to something that's going on and have a lot to say about it. But if there's something you really need to know about me, is that I have a totally irrational and burning hate for Booster Gold. Alright. So thank you, Charming Man, for letting me get my video out there. Thank you for being a gracious host. Keep watching Charming Man 93, man. I've been watching his videos longer than I thought. I thought it was just a couple months, but it's been quite a while. I always enjoy his stuff. And again, thank you, man. You guys have a great weekend.